Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of having, a real good brother to us all. He is a 10th Planet Jiu Jitsu black belt under the great Eddie Bravo, and he is co-owner of 10th Planet Pasadena. He's the one and only Compella. What's going on, my man?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Good, man. And being all right is pretty good in 2020. Usually it's just like, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Right? But
yeah,
just being okay is fine.
Exactly. Okay is the high standard this year. Like coasting. I'm coasting by. Wow, man, that's awesome. You're coasting? Way to go.
It's kind of weird. I mean, everybody wants to say like the new normal and everything, and I think it's kind of played out at this point. But I mean, like everybody's had to reaffirm and readjust like definitions. Like that's
right.
I think that's the biggest takeaway.
You tailor those expectations when you're just adapting to your environment. I think everybody's kind of getting used to, and some people had to do more, and it's very shocking to have to change your habits. So I think everybody's just kind of going through that in a myriad of ways.
Yeah, it's almost like that. I think it was like that Mad TV skit from back in the day that lowered expectations where you go on like a blind date and it's just like somebody has their eye hanging out, somebody might have a lisp and whatever, and you're just like, I guess it's cool.
I don't remember from Mad TV. I don't remember if I saw that one.
I get nerdy with my stuff, so I mean there's a lot of things that I shouldn't know, but I do know because it's just like, I don't know, much like my meme game, I'm pretty dad jokey for sure. So dude, how did you get started in like jiu-jitsu?
Okay. Jiu-jitsu was I guess sort of a long coming as a kid. I always kind of went toward the more physical sports. I grew up in the Bronx in New York, so growing up and getting into little here and there was just kind of the norm. Knowing how to get the better end of those was always something everybody wanted. Everybody wanted to do some form of martial art. And I was like, oh, that guy knows how to box. This guy can do this and that. And then you can kind of hold your own. But then eventually, I started doing some like. When I started actually training for real, I did a little taekwondo as a kid, like 8 years old in New York. So you're just learning how to shuffle forward and, put pat. I was never really took it seriously. I didn't really have a taste for it yet. And then by the time I was 15, Ben Yorkita is in North Hollywood at the Laurel Canyon gym. He was there. And he had a boxing program started to take regularly. And started to kind of help form a little more discipline what I was doing as opposed to just there and take classes. Eventually I ended up at the Muay Thai Academy through a friend of mine. I was just like hitting the bag. I did like 2 smokers there. Just randomly looking for places to train and just kind of like venting mostly, that's kind of, I guess how my journey was going, finding places to find yourself. And then eventually I'm with Chris Riley at the Muay Thai Academy. He had popped in and he told me about his gym in Hollywood, which I had passed by, the Bomb Squad at the time. And Eddie had been there for about a year. So yeah, really serendipitously through a really weird route, I ended up meeting Eddie through a kickboxing gym. And then we hit it off when I first met him. Jiu-jitsu always, it seemed like, oh, well, that's eventually where all fights are going to end up. So as far as being a complete martial artist, and I've seen plenty of street fights where somebody ended up on the ground and got pounded out. I was like, well, I don't want that to be me. I want to be the guy, getting up, or you can just choke them and then get back up all nonchalant. Yeah, that looks cool. Let me invest some time in that. So yeah, once I met Eddie, then the kind of once I clicked with one particular mentor, which I think is the major thing for anybody on the martial arts path, you just find somebody that it's easy to learn from, then you can channel all your energy into it and kind of get good at whatever it is you want to get good at.
No, I mean, I think you've had a series of fortunate events, right? Because I mean,
Oh yeah,
to
totally.
yeah, I mean, Taekwondo, and where you grew up in New York, and then coming to, I mean, essentially Benny the Jet's, place in North Hollywood
Hmm.
at 15, and then kind of roundabout meeting, a couple years later, meeting your kind of,
Yeah.
jujitsu career for sure, you know, almost mirrors his to a large extent.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Meeting certain mentors that plug you the right way. Yeah. Very fortunate to meet the right people and sort of the royalty. Once I look back at the history, I didn't know who really Ben Yarkitas was when I first started going there. Oh, he seems cool, and then I started to go back and like, oh shit, this guy was hanging out with Bruce Lee. He's a royalty, in martial arts lineage and how it goes back and his kickboxing records. And he started to look at fights, and he's just like, oh my god, how lucky you are to even be in the presence of that. And then all the little lessons that came in during matches. Hey, do this little, watch your breathing, watch your jab. Everything goes behind your jab. All those little things. You're like, oh my god, I was just getting gems dropped on you. So yeah, very lucky in that way, and totally kind of had no choice but to teach martial arts at that point when you when you have so many great influences.
I think it's great, and especially your willingness and open mind to. I mean, you essentially were in two, distinct striking discipline
Right.
and traditional martial arts, and at the time, I mean, striking disciplines, and even in 2020, some striking disciplines will thumb their nose at any type of grappling, whether it be wrestling, jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
sambo, catch wrestling. So, um, uh, did you did you have kind of like a almost like a muddy type, stepping into the mud type deal when you got into
No,
grappling art, or were you training that a little bit?
I was more like a fish to water. Actually, so it's funny. I went to I was up in Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz, about a year after college, or a year after high school rather, um, or directly after high school. Sorry, and then I met this Jeet Kune Do instructor who was up there, who was who was teaching us eskrima sticks. We're doing hand trapping. Eskrima, and I was also taking a gi jujitsu class on campus at the time. It's like around 2001, and so I was basically the jujitsu guy in the group. We had our little hodgepodge group. One guy was kind of a kickboxer. This other guy did capoeira. One guy wrestling background, and I had the jujitsu. I had the most jujitsu. I had like 6 months of white belt jujitsu, but I was I was the jujitsu component of that little group we had, and it was actually really cool. It opened my eyes a lot, and it really gave perspective on the purpose of training. We didn't even have MMA gloves at the time. We actually still those Kempo gloves that Bruce Lee used in Game of Death. Yeah.
But I mean, I mean, you guys were, ahead of your time, your little group,
Right.
at UC Santa Cruz. I mean, and did you know that the UFC existed and it's like,
Oh yeah.
no holds barred? Okay, so you
Yeah,
knew.
yeah, we had seen. I think the big thing at that time we had gone to the resident guy that was teaching jujitsu at the time. There, the resident black belt's house, and watched BJ Penn as the big thing. When he was still young and doing it. Probably not long after Rio Chonin, those fight or what's his face. Um, or pummels him against the fence. But yeah, the young prime BJ Penn days. That's when we're watching. So yeah, it's like circa 2001. Um, and everybody was like, "There's no way anyone can beat anybody who has jujitsu in their arsenal. It's just impossible." And then you see like the rise of Chuck Liddell, who can who can counter wrestle people out. And then you're like, "Ooh, okay, wait, striking's cool again. We can maybe we need to put some time into striking again." So, and eventually you see the complete martial arts. You see a guy like John Jones. Um, and then you're like, well, I think that's really what everybody was aiming for there. You go back to like Bruce Lee and stuff. He was always like enamored with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and hit the length on his body. So I think he would have loved John Jones, you know.
I think so too. But then again, I've had a run-in with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's hard to say that he likes anybody but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Then what? He bought what?
That I don't think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar likes anybody other than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh,
He's kind of that way. Yeah. Yeah. And Jesse Velasquez says, "Damn, I miss OG BJ Penn." You know, like I think we
hell
all
yeah,
do. I
man.
think
Those are
BJ
the
Penn
days,
misses
dude.
old school.
That's what made me fall in love with jiu-jitsu. You know, like he was the guy. He went out. He made jiu-jitsu. You know, it was a soft art, and the main crap on it was like, oh, you're rolling around the ground. That's gay. Well, I mean, it's not lame or gay or whatever. You know, they're trying to discredit it. You know, pardon to the homosexual people. What I'm saying is they're trying to make it seem like this is not effective in a fight, but he made it savage. You know what I mean? And that's what that's a fight is a fight. Whatever tools you happen to use, if they have to be systematically superior to some other tools, well, hey, you're gonna get a little more mileage out of that, you know. And I think the latest example is Khabib, and what he did in his last fight. I did not expect that, you know. As much as you see him dominate, you know, you kind of know he's gonna dominate at that point. At some point, you don't think it's gonna be like that every time, right? Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's weird, right? Because like you've got, especially in that archetype of, and not to compare, but I mean, you know, you got Aaron Pico, you got Justin Gaethje, and
Mm.
they're like these world class wrestlers, and they're just like, no,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna stand and bang, we're just gonna throw it all
Yeah.
away, literally like our entire
Yeah.
life's work and throw it away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, but that's the thing. Like, you got to have that special recipe. If you got power in your hands and you're a good counter wrestler, well, hey, stand and bang because you maybe get a knockout, so to speak, right? And if it comes down to it, you know, then you're going down. And I guess, yeah, Aaron Pico, Gaethje, that similar style they have. Chuck Liddell in his prime, you know, that kind of sprawl and brawl style, I guess you would call it. Yeah.
Yeah, but Jesse brings up that I mean you evolved with the sport. That's pretty damn legit, you know. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
it's cool that you got in like right when you did because again, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're a grizzled young veteran.
I didn't hear the last part. I'm sorry. What was that?
I said you're kind of like a young veteran.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm 37, so ain't that young. But yeah, I've been around for a minute. Um, you know, yeah, I love martial arts and just studying the shit. I just love it so much. I've always treated it like a piece of art that I watch get better and try to always have input. Lucky enough to literally, you know, side by side one of the pioneers as we helped evolve jujitsu. And the main thing Eddie told me from the beginning was the reason he split off and started doing no-gi jujitsu was to see more jujitsu in MMA. You know, UFC is the big show. That's where all the attention is. You know, it's kind of like that rock star gear in his head. Like, where's the best gig at? You know, how do we get to the big show? And that was pushing no-gi jujitsu through the 10th planet system. You know, as just possible. So I think, yeah, I think he really accomplished that, you know, with EBI and combat jiu-jitsu and all these other things. That's I'm really you know, grateful to be part of the journey and help out when I can.
I think it's incredible, you know. It's funny. Jesse saying, yeah, BJ Penn used to be his favorite fighter, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
he also says like he hates when fighters go away from the roots and they have to get back, you know, before they remember to go back. Like Damian Maya, right? Damian Maya thought he was a puncher, and then he was just like, oh
Yeah,
wait, I'm one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world. Like I don't have to do that, you know?
yeah, yeah. He's interesting, but I think, you know, he evolved, right? He took his no-gi grappling to a point. I think he had to go through that boxing stage to kind of figure out where he could get hit, how much he can take, and where he needs to change his wrestling to. And he really, I think, you know, kind of progressed and broke through. Um, and ended up doing really well, and using just enough striking to then accentuate his strongest game, which is his jiu-jitsu. So I like what he's been doing. As long as he doesn't stand and bang too much, you know.
No, 100%. Now, obviously, like that. I want to go to like, did you know, at that bomb squad and that those formative
Oh
years, like,
yeah,
where was Eddie in his career? Had he gone and beaten Hoyler in Brazil, or
already.
was that
Yeah,
okay? He already did.
yeah. By the time I met him, it was like late 2004. I want to. Probably like after September or something, and um, so the gym was, I think, already a year and a couple months started. Um, and yeah, he was kind of fresh off that win. That was the big thing, and it was just a group of guys going in there, putting mats up on the mirrors on the side and rolling around. Um, and trying out weird stuff with our legs from our backs. That was the whole thing. It's like, well, in an MMA fight, you're gonna get punched, you're gonna end up on the ground. How do we use our jiu-jitsu from here? So a lot of it was a lot of rubber guard, heavy rubber guard in the first couple of years. That's all we worked on because it was brand new to everybody. And that's all everybody, when people came to visit the gym, that's what they wanted to see. It's what they wanted to feel. So if we couldn't, that's kind of the thing. We were the litmus test, that whole OG squad of people that started the bomb squad and went on. We had to prove that rubber guard worked on people, because people came to the gym and they just went through us and destroyed our guard and passed our guard, and then it was like, this is a joke, right? This obviously doesn't work. And then little by little you start seeing people succeed with it in competition. Just they don't get the submission, but they're able to hold the guy in a weird position for a while. Like, okay, maybe. But it's still kind of a fluke. And then you see a guy get a submission, and then you see somebody dominate somebody with it. It takes time. It takes time to get there, but the proof is in the pudding. The science was there, the methodology was there. It took time to get people, ingrained in it, and you have to want. It's a difficult path. You're on your back. Somebody's trying to smash. There are easier things to do. You can just sweep them, get on top. Better yet, take their back and get a rear naked choke. I will advise that any day of the week before you go down a 10-step rubber guard path. But you're not trying to submit random ass people on the street. You're trying to submit a trained killer, and it takes 10 different steps on the way for you to finish somebody like that.
I love that. I mean, again, it's those incremental steps, like and I mean, that's a parable for life. When you, especially like
Yeah.
jujitsu, I'm not sure about other striking disciplines, but like there's parables in life that you learned on the mats, when you grapple. And I mean, just as something as simple as somebody cutting you off on the way to the gym, and then
Mm-hmm.
doing 2 hours in 6 minute increments of like literally getting slaughtered, and then the same thing on your way home, somebody cuts you off, and you're just like, whatever, I don't care, I just survived a war, right?
Yeah. 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 Totally. Yeah. Your perspective is refreshed by that. People really need that. I was thinking about that earlier. It's like by the age of 18, everybody should have gotten their ass kicked at least 3 times. You know what I mean? Just so you know how to deal with coming back from something, or not like being, your whole world breaks down just because you didn't get the win and overcome something. Um, just like come up and come back and be better the next time. You know what I mean? And also, holding on to grudges and all kinds of other philosophical stuff that comes with martial arts and discipline. But man, Jean-Jacques, I think, said it the best. You smile and start smiling, everything will be better. Just start with that.
Yeah. Oh man, John Jock, that's, I mean, I so the first time I met him, I was actually when I first started jujitsu in Bakersfield, and I was training under
Mm,
Matt Baker, who was a Brazilian, I mean, John Jock black belt, and then I was
right.
there the day that uh, Jill, his wife, actually earned her black belt from John Jock and Jay Zabalos, right? Like I was
Oh.
there, just no stripe white belt, and the importance of John Jock, right? Where you go, obviously Matt and Jill, Eddie, and I mean, what does John Jock mean to you?
Yeah, he's that rock. He's essentially like grandpa in the sense of if Eddie's my jujitsu dad, and he's the grand sensei. But yeah, he's just such like, I don't know, he's like Bruce, when you meet him, he's like, you feel like you're to a real life superhero. It's just so calm, and when he teaches, it could be the simplest thing. You're always going to take something away from it. Like even the last time I took one of his classes last week, and in the gi, and he just mentioned stuff about closing distance. You're a grappler. Make sure you close the distance. You open the guard. Why are you gonna backstep and go forward? And something that I had been, echoing in my mind to my students whenever I see it, it's kind of frustrating. It's like, okay, you did all that work to open up the guard, and now you're gonna take a back step and do all that work all over again. So it's just nice to see, a simple sentiment that he carries with him is a defined truth that I know that I can continue to illustrate to my students too. So it's just good to have, like, you can look to him and be like, oh, that's the right way. Okay, cool. Then I need to make sure I'm in accordance with that.
Absolutely. And Jackie Gone, who's an accomplished both Chinese Kempo as well as Taekwondo, she's a stud. She said,
Yeah.
that's right, getting back up. They're always
Yeah.
willing to take the hits.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what it teaches, essentially, like, there's only, like, I think martial arts is one of the few ways you can train an muscle in that it's your willpower that you're really working on. Physical sweat, the mental anguish, spiritual depletion. You fill back up and you go, oh, you grit your teeth and you go, you know what, I'm gonna do a little better. I'm gonna try a little harder. I'm not just gonna make an excuse, or I'm not gonna wail in the pity of it, right? That's what martial arts is. That's what it gives you. You can do another thing too. It might be dance for some people. It might be freaking riding motorcycles. You know what I mean, or whatever actually, like, drives you and gives you passion and makes you want to go a little further and harder. Martial arts just happens to put it right there in your face. There's no ducking around it. There's no lawyering or your way around a match and what's happening in real life in real time. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Jesse Velasquez, who's a purple belt in Gi Jiu-Jitsu as well as International Fight Showdown champion, he says, yeah, distance control is everything in combat sports for sure.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. The best strikers, that's all they measure the distance, close it, create it, and angles, and a grappler is just close the distance. That's it. Close the distance, close the distance. The game plans are always pretty standard right off the bat. You get your classic striker versus grappler, you know what's going to happen. And you get the classic grappler versus grappler, they're probably going to stand and bang with each other, right? That always ends up being the case, it seems like.
More likely than not, but you're
Right?
talking about strikers, right? And
Mhm.
I mean, I kind of want to dial it back because I mean, the Bomb Squad,
Yeah.
right? I mean, right in
Yeah.
itself, its name is just like striking, or even just like, I mean, come on, this is the early 2000s, so
Yeah.
bomb.com was definitely a phrase that was thrown around way
Hmm.
too liberally, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
who are some of the notables? I mean, I kind of know the names, but like, take us back. Like, who is getting in rounds and with you in this kind of formative time?
Man, back in the very beginning, I mean, probably one of the highest promoted guys and the main shark between Eddie and Jason Chambers was that the human weapon. He was in there putting in work, and he was a stud. He was doing MMA in Japan. I think he was somebody everybody kind of looked at to legitimize what we were doing. Me as a no stripe white belt with fucking karate pants and ankle sleeves too tight for what they should be. All the goofy ass crap you wear before you know what you're doing. So we look forward to him. And this people back in the day, Ziggy and his brother Louis, the Germinator Ralph, the original OGs there. Connor Hune, who's out in Colorado now. Man, Victor Webster was there. Scott Epstein. Scott Epstein fought MMA. He was one of those guys who always, much props to him for always being a 10th Planet guy, diehard from the beginning, and doing MMA with full on professional MMA and using rubber guard, and he was one of the guys who you know he put up or shut up for it. You know what I mean? So that kind of respect, that's for life. You know what I mean? There was a time when you needed to step up and do that, and he did it. Um, Man, so many people. I don't want to miss names because there's so many people. Drog. Rest in peace. He was with us for the longest time. Man, Renato Laranja and his alter images and all his stuff. Benny Procopos, who used to drive down as a 14. He was 14 when he started. He was a young, and all he wanted for his birthday present was to train with Eddie Bravo. That's all he wanted. He ended up being the first black belt. And I remember him as a young guy. I'd sometimes pick him up from the airport and stuff, hang out when he was just coming down and training. I think probably before he got his black belt. Yeah, early days. And he would get for like MMA fights and stuff like that. Of course, Sean Bollinger and Jeremy Fields early on the day. I think that's a little bit after Bomb Squad. I could have been maybe the tail end of Bomb Squad. I think they were coming down to Bomb Squad too, actually. I want to say they did. They were like they would sleep in their car. Yeah, I think they were like sleeping in their cars in the Trader Joe's parking lot. In between days to come train. Like they were hardcore. And gym owners fought MMA and all that. So there's so many people that add to the story, man. The fabric is like it's a quilt of all these characters that help contribute stuff. But just off the top of my head, I'm missing crucial names. People text me. But,
well,
yeah,
they know who they are. Yeah. And again, just like you said, it's woven into the tapestry that is, not just one mixed martial arts or martial arts journey, but in life, because
right.
You guys are family.
Right. Yeah. The music. Al Alejandro, Forsaken Soul was there since back in the day. Alder Hampel, who we all did music together. Yes. He was our first DJ, and Tim and Christian would come through. Their cousins, brothers, cousins of Albert brothers, and yeah, man, so many people, and yeah, we did music together. We ended up, and that was how me and Eddie really, formed a relationship outside of jiu-jitsu. We were also making music together, and that's what how we created a friendship that was more than just a student teacher. We were also partners in music, so different dynamic going on along with that. It's gonna be loud as fuck. Sorry if there's.
No, you're fucking fine. It's fucking great. No, so it's funny because like you mentioned Uncle Hamach, as a lot of us refer to him as, right? When I first started jiu-jitsu, when I first started jiu-jitsu, people would call me Hanach, and I was like, who the fuck is this Hanach guy or whatever? And so my buddy, who I actually was he was a blue belt under Matt and Jill, and we actually worked together, and then we would take like 90-minute lunches, in corporate America to go and roll, right? And everybody would call me Uncle Hanach. So, like, were you? Was Bomb Squad? Yeah, I know. I look like a fatter, like less cosmetically appealing Uncle Hanach, but was it during like that Bomb Squad days, or was it a little bit after where like he had that kind of interaction with Rogan?
Character started.
Okay.
That was actually at
Legends, right?
On Santa Monica and Western. That was the second time we moved. First Legends was on La Brea in Hollywood. That was the Randy Couture, Boss Rutan coalition. That was what the gym was named after. And it was an MMA. Chris Riley was really heading the strike, and Eddie Bravo Jiu-Jitsu, and then we had sort of the first seedlings of MMA fighters coming through. I want to say like George Sataropoulos was coming like just around that time. I think Matt Horowitz was starting to stop in. A couple of professional fighters that would come in and like add some tools to their game. But by the time we had moved to the one on Western, where that episode Rogan happened, where he's chasing them in the shower, I was there that night. I was actually standing right behind them while they're filming that whole thing.
Really?
I was just trying to like get my shower, get the fuck out, and then Eddie's like, wait, let's film. And then I was getting super annoyed. And Renato, he's ready to go. Anytime you tell him, hey, let's do this, we're good. All right, let's go. Boom, on it. He's a New York dude. I love that guy. He's just him personally. He grew up, like in the Bronx where I grew up. Like his dad used to teach in New York. And so he grew up around a lot of Puerto Ricans and stuff. So he always has a lot of little jokes and sayings and slang. That we go back and forth. It's very unique to that neighborhood,
I think it's crazy, and how everything is just meant, right? Because also woven into the 10 planet tapestry is one Uncle Joey Diaz, right? And
Oh
he was
yeah,
actually trained
yeah.
by
Joey Karate.
by Hassan, yeah, Hassan's dad back in the day.
Right, yeah, right. How what a world. Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's always been. Every time I see him, he gives a big hug. How you been, Compella? Everything's good with you? Oh, it's great, man. School's going good. Um, he's an incredible human being through and through, and he's been through some shit, and he's never gonna be in denial about any of the things he's been through, or he wants you to know about it so you can either avoid that and not have to do it yourself, and know that life goes on. And he's got a lot of great stories to back that up, a lot of wisdom. But yeah, he's got a heart of gold. That guy. So yeah, I'm glad he's one of those cool characters you kind of meet on the way. And Joe Rogan, we used to train with you all the time. He was one of my main sparring partners when he got some pretty good roles in, and he's just like built, like a vanilla gorilla, trying to move a stat interview with him. Like rubber guard was not Joe. Because he just had such strong posture. But speaking of sparring partners, Dan Hardy was actually when I was purple belt, and he probably like a good year. He was with us regularly, and he was a really good partner. He helped me a lot, and really, he really was one of those guys who just like he's like a Jeet Kune Do guy too, and a striker mostly, but his jiu-jitsu is really good. He loves martial arts so much. And when I'm doing commentary now and I hear him speaking and I was like, man, that's the guy, I met back then. He's fucking legit. He loves it, he understands it, and he lives and breathes it, So I'm so happy to see him still doing his thing now, yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. I mean, that kind of put it all into perspective for me because, like I was saying, me and my boy, we used to train, during our lunch, and I was probably had like on paper the best job that I've had so far. I was working in corporate America as a marketing assistant, shared a corner office and whatever, but I was miserable. I didn't really understand it. Like, and I mean, that was like my go-tos. It was like in no particular order, Matt Therapy with Donna and Becky, right? And
Right.
Joey Diaz, Rogan, and that was what that in jiu-jitsu. And it sounds kind of cliche. And I know like Nuasa put it on a rash guard a couple moons ago, but like
Right.
jiu-jitsu saved your life in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
definitely are a testament. Same thing. I'm still a no stripe white belt, but still, it's like once it's in you, it's in you.
It's that willpower muscle, it's that certain thing that drives you, beyond everything else. Um, yeah, it's a joy to have in your life, when you have it and you fiend for it. It's like an addiction too. Um, speaking on that point, as far as the full time job and jujitsu kind of being on the side, I did for a while as a purple belt, or for about a year. I remember sort of plateauing, and I was training maybe once a month for about a year. It was like once a month I was only coming in because I was working full 40 hours a week at this job, where I was did salary doing the thing, and I just realized how unhappy I was becoming. And I was like, if I pick, I'd rather be poor and do than comfortable working this salary job. And that's just what it came. It's like my life is too short to spend it being unhappy, and I made the decision to put more time into jujitsu, and then eventually did some MMA fights. Was teaching at Majiro's up in the valley near Chatsworth. That's where I kind of first started teaching as a blue belt. Then started teaching in Silmar when I opened 10th Planet Silmar 8, and then eventually, 10th Planet Pasadena 3 years ago. So eventually, you just got to listen to your heart, man, because otherwise, if you don't, it's gonna talk to you anyway. You're gonna like what it says later, you know.
No, 100%. And Jesse Velasquez has got jokes, but he said, "Bro, I can see it. I've never seen it before until now. Yes, I am Fat Hanach. Yeah, Fat Hanach. That's pretty much it. Oh, I mean, the best story is like we've had. He's always been really cool with me, right? But there was I think it was High Rollers, right? When they had the show in Compton, right?
Yeah,
And
the Wii tournament.
yeah, absolutely. High rollers, right? You get, I mean, I mean, it's absolute tournament. Or no, they broke it down into weight classes, but I mean, essentially, you want a pound of weed if you won. So
Yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah.
So,
Bridge won the first one, I want to say, right, Kevin?
yeah, he did.
Oceanside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this might have been the third one because, like, the second one was my first one, and that was the one that kind of got shifted to a different location in downtown LA. But, like, the last one that I went to was the one, like, kind of Compton adjacent, like, at a former, like church, like Baptist church on a Sunday, which is amazing. You open it up and bellowing smoke, and the first place that I see, again, our good friend Blanca Marissa Garcia, and she pulls me by the arm and is like, "Do you know Hassan?"
Okay.
And then fucking greets me like fucking we make a beeline to Hassan, who is doing like faux Portuguese Macho Man Randy Savage references. So I'm like fucking wrestling and jujitsu. I'm in my fucking element. So yeah, fucking fun times, man. One would even say high times, so to speak.
Yeah. You wouldn't be able to. That contact right there is undeniable.
Ooh, buddy. Yeah. I mean, speaking of rubber guarded, man, I think I might have, like literally weaseled my way out of a couple smoke rings. That I felt like I was in a rubber guard. That shit was just so fucking thick.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way to really keep her cool, in developing rubber guard when people are throwing their legs in your face. You just remember, how high you are, and that somebody's shin is snaking under your neck. That's probably not that weird. But you've done weirder shit. You were thinking weirder shit before you walked into the gym tonight, and now this is over here in your face. You're sniffing somebody's toes, and you thought, I'm not a toe sniffer. I signed up for, but jiu-jitsu will bring some weird shit out of you. Now you're over here sniffing toes.
Yeah, oh yeah. Toes, taints, it's all weird. I mean, shit that you're like, nah, I'll never go for that or whatever. But you step on those mats and brother, fuck man, it's like I guess because jujitsu.
It'll save your life in more ways than one. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, and he also says Joey Diaz is the best, 100%. And rubber guard is the best for MMA in my opinion. No, 100%, 100%. I mean, it's proven.
Yeah, that's what it was made for. Yeah, I mean, if not, it's just an improved version of full guard. It's full guard 2.0, right? If you break somebody's posture down, they can't land those heavy strikes from inside the guard, and you have a halfway point to your arm bars and triangles that you anyway. So there you go. Take that little step down there. And for a lot of people, it was frustrating the first couple of years when you see people dabble with rubber guard and professional venue, and they don't really know the path. They're just kind of like just controlling people here. And you're like, do the next thing. Oh, you were so close. You could have done this, done that. It's easy. It's easy to armchair coach when you're sitting at home watching. But just seeing their ability to not take damage. They're using that just to not take damage. Shit, that's good enough. That's all you need. Now get up and get back to using your striking and get back to taking your shot and get on top and take the rear naked choke. You don't need to finish everybody with a dead orchard or a go-go plata. That's cool that you have that ability to do that. that's all. But like, if that's like, people think like that's all they're gonna gun for. Like they're just gonna pull guard and go for the go. Like no, that's like I'll go there if it's there, but I'd much rather just like still leg you, dump you on your face, and guillotine you, like like anybody else. It's just if you have extra tools and you're in a really shitty place, well, hell, I can be dangerous here too. While most other people, the main thing we would always say was this old school, this 92 full guard, where all you have is wrist control, full guard and wrist control. All I'm going to do is hit a pop triangle. That's it. You know what I mean? Either that or kick him in the chest and get up, right? That was all. Yeah. But with rubber guard, you have some options. You can get a little creative from there. If they start to posture up, you can sit up and play your butterfly guard, and then technical stand up, do whatever you want from there. But you have more options, and with more options come the ability to be lethal in places where you are to be vulnerable.
Yeah, and that's the thing, kind of uh, feeling a strength and a power, in places that you would normally traditionally feel vulnerable. I mean, I think that's kind of the major kind of presence of all forms of grappling arts, but specifically
Right.
jujitsu and movie jujitsu, where like
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be in a place of power where I guess conventionally, being on my back, that
Right.
doesn't feel like you're powerful. That's like usually somebody pushing you to the ground and trying to fuck you up that way.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. It's still not a great place to be, even if you are well versed in what you're doing. In fact, gravity is still working against you. You're working against the universal, the power of the universe. It's an active force. So if you can use that, use that. But if it's being used against you, there are tools, there's leverage points, and there's specific techniques you can do to counter that. And sometimes it's your advantage.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's just kind of cool. Jesse says, "Oh, I'm not flexible enough to go for them rubber bar triangles or arm bars." That's just
Yeah.
it, fucking bread and
Classics.
butter shit. Yeah, just
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
you
But
smash and
here
pass.
I'll give you this. I'll give this for Jesse and anybody else who thinks that flexibility will bar you from doing rubber guard. You have to listen to your body, and you have to go in the direction your body goes. So to that extent, I'll say don't focus so much on the hinge joint of, because that don't goes a certain direction and only is supposed to bend pretty much on 90 degree. You the ball and socket of your hip joint to create a wider angle. You can cover more average, and you can therefore sort of exponentiate your flexibility. You'll be a lot more flexible because you're not trying to force your leg in a position. It's not your hip needs to compensate what your knee is doing, right? Especially if you're looking at somebody doing like a Hindulatine or something. You look at Ben Eddy and you go, "Oh my God, my knees are gonna snap in half," and they probably will if you don't do the right things and let your hip, the ball and socket of your hip joint can rotate in so many ways, whereas the hinge in your knee cannot. It can only go one direction, really, up and down. It's not meant to go side. And rubber guard, it looks like you're out to the side, like you're tearing your own knee. But it's really the hip joint that's doing most of the work, ball and socket, the hip joint. So that's just a helpful tip, especially when I have big guys come into the gym, like anybody over 200 pounds I've ever worked with, ever taught rubber guard to. That's the first thing, like, oh my God, how am I ever going to do this? Well, you'll be surprised that the people that can, once they've done it that way, and I'll see the light bulb go off in their head, and after the second or third try, they're going to the go block, they're going to the they're crossing their legs, and they're getting the sweep, and they're able to bring that leg up because they understand it's the hip doing the work. They understand they got to push off with the other foot and create angles in order to make it work. Yeah.
That's dope. I mean, dropping knowledge like a motherfucker. He said all about those angles down there helps you get higher on their body, 100%, and knowledge.
Yeah.
Fucking dropping
Yeah.
truth bombs
For sure.
from fucking
Yeah.
Air Tyron. It's fucking dope. It's fucking dope.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That's what I can contribute. I mean, that's, to me, that's like a lot of people don't know that core truth about what a really simple way to make rubber guard accessible for everybody. You know what I mean? It's just striking. It stands up, keep them right here. instead of like over here, and you'll have a better time. Like simple stuff.
No, I mean, I've seen it happen. I mean, I'm the guy that, you fucking hit a neon belly on me and fuck it. Viva la chorro. Like, I'll fart my way out of a fucking neon belly every day, like all day, twice on Sundays. But I mean, spoken like a true musician, because in your analogies, you hit up
Yep.
Gravity is working against me, fucking John Mayer, and One
Sure.
Direction, right? So I definitely want to fucking get on that. I definitely want to get on that music tip, because obviously,
Yeah.
I mean,
Brandon
again,
McCaffrey would
Marshall.
appreciate the John Mayer reference.
Oh, that was one of the last fucking pre-COVID fucking, gigs that I fucking went to. John Mayer at the Forum
Yeah.
took my wife, and I was like, "Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, man!" I mean,
Yeah,
and
you're
any
awesome.
okay, oh yeah, and here's the thing: everybody gives me like shit, but theoretically speaking, right? John Mayer and all of his kind of tryst in Hollywood and whatever. You got to remember, Eric Clapton's Layla was about his best friend's wife, and that best friend was one of
Yeah.
the fucking Beatles. So get off your fucking
Yeah.
high horses, people. Just say it.
Yeah. When you're it's a different scene. If you're not in a scene, you probably shouldn't comment about it. It's a different world.
So I mean, obviously, I mean, music was something that you and Eddie also vibed pretty early on. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
how did you get into music?
Something I got into like late middle school, high school when I first moved out here. My best friends, Steve and Craig, lives out in Atlanta now. It was after I was Compella. We were just freestyling, stress blunts after park, kid stuff growing up, and just freestyle and cipher. One guy would beatbox, one guy would freestyle, and traditional seance, as it were. And we just got better at it. We got so good. We do talent shows. We started recording with local producers around. Met up with a guy who did a little bit more. We were signed to a small record label called Sunshine Records, which is the same guys that put out Skilo's. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl. Yeah. So we were signed with that tiny label for maybe a year and a half or so, but nothing really came out of it. We were pushing this band, J-Pause, was two other guys who were working at Gemini. Yeah, man, it was that was kind of our end of it. And here, check out my demo, see what you think. I know you want to do some music stuff too. And I'd always grew up with rock as an influence. I was always a fan of Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson and some of the harder stuff and all the alt rock. In addition to rap, KRS-One and most Def and a lot of the like golden era '90s sort of rap, roots and all that stuff. But I also, had a penchant for hard rock, and I think a lot of the message between them was very similar. It all kind of went down to like punk and punk as were before them, but still, there's this sense of resistance and this sort of I don't know, this kind of attitude to it that I enjoyed. So yeah, that was kind of the combination of those two. And once I met up with Eddie and recorded a track with him over a Nine Inch Nails remix beat that he made. Then we just kind of kept doing music from there, and eventually ended up meeting the guy who mastered most of the Smoke Serpent songs. The very final ones is Danny Lohner from Nine Inch Nails. And when I go over to his house, I can see his Grammy sitting on the table. This guy's one of the original members of one of my favorite bands. So imagine the luck of me doing martial arts, and then my mentor, my sensei, ends up connecting us with a guy who's also one of our favorite bands. That's crazy. Yeah.
Fuck, man. I mean, that's
a journey.
talk about no, but it's a fortunate life. And again,
Yeah.
you like me, we're in a situation where like you're had to do the 9 to 5, and I mean everybody has to do
Right.
it. But I mean, if there's a chance that
Yeah.
you could pursue your dreams in addition to what you've got, I always tell people, like,
Right.
if it's a monetary, whatever your goal is, right? If there's a monetary thing attached to it, I need to save money. Take $5 out of every paycheck put it in a jar.
Right.
If it's a time allotment,
Yeah.
fucking put 10 minutes. Yes, you're tired or whatever. Give yourself 10 minutes. And
Exactly.
I guarantee you, you will feel more refreshed in allotting 10 minutes out of your fucking day to the thing that you love, whether it be
Hmm.
drawing, arts, whatever, like this business that you want to do, whatever the
Right.
fuck it is. You'll
Yeah.
be a lot more
Yeah.
fulfilled because you only got one life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and a lot of times we're so going back to the first thing we talked about, adapting and habits. You get so used to a certain habit, it's hard to break that, and you got to reprogram yourself every now and again to accept certain. You know, I didn't like washing the dishes afterwards, but my wife gets pissed, so I'm over here washing some fucking dishes. But it's a better life. All in all, you make your little concessions and adapt there. Um, you just you learn to evolve, and the better you are at kind of reprogramming yourself and knowing how to make those changes, the less of the less drama you deal with, the less like when things don't go your way, it's not like, oh my god, I have to redo all this stuff. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make one or two adjustments and I'm still gonna go ahead with my plan. you know I think that should be the optimal sort of life for everyone. You're kind of like going on your path, and something obstructs you. You don't stop and go, these people, their ideas and all this shit is gonna keep me from living. It's like, are they though? Are they though? Or is it just you mostly stopping yourself because you're getting all hung up on some bullshit?
Yeah, but a lot of times it's well for real.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, no lies detected, but it's harder to kind of
Hmm.
fucking throw stones at other people rather than you're like, fuck. The reason why the stones are getting thrown and hit me in the fucking head is because I keep on moving down this fucking path. Like, let me not
Yeah,
do that, But it's easier to fucking point,
yeah.
at other people.
Totally, totally. Yeah, the old adage, right? You point one finger, you point three back at yourself. Yeah, grudges, hate in your heart, and having always having somebody else to blame. Just take all the blame. Take all the. It's hard, but you know what? Take everybody. I mean, it's not. It's not. It's like when you see like you're somewhere else and it's not your place, and you see trash on the floor, whether or not to like pick it up. But it's like it's trash. It goes in the trash. If it's not that hard for you, just do it. Everybody's a little better for it. But it's like, that's not my place. That's not my thing. I don't need to deal with shit. I mean, I don't know. Going back to that, like you carry grudge and hate and just negativity with you, like kind of self-censored negativity. That's kind of what you're getting out of everything. You know what I mean? That's what you're putting out. That's what you're getting back in. If you just smile a little bit more and be a little more gracious toward things, you'd be surprised with how much more you get back. And that's something I think I figured out like later in adulthood, late 20s and on. The more you do that, the just the better you feel, I think. You know?
I think there's something to it, and especially, I mean, you have been a positive force to, I mean, everybody that I've seen around you, myself included, and I mean, this is something that obviously permeates, not just your music endeavors, not just your essential traditional martial arts endeavors, but also in business endeavors. And I actually didn't know that
Right.
you were behind 10 Planet Silmar and what have you. And
Mm-hmm.
now 10 Planet Pasadena. I mean, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny because like the last thing that we all kind of did together was Submission on the Shore in Long Beach and the Queen Mary.
Right.
And I
Right.
was like,
Right.
I
Right.
had just saved enough. I was coming to see you guys like that fucking week. I had just saved enough to fucking start rolling again after a 2-year hiatus. And I go through waves like this. Like, so went to, Matt and Jill Baker back in the day. I mean, it was probably
Mm-hmm.
about what, 5-6 years ago, right? And essentially do 6 month, like 4 to 7 classes a week, fucking just hardcore, and then
Yeah.
not do shit for 2 years, right? End up at
Mm-hmm.
Fight Academy with Savants and Heinrich and
Yeah.
Herb Dean and all them and whatever. And then
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been
Herb
3 years
lives down the
since.
street. Same amount of time.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. I talked about like, fuck, we're gonna squad up. Like I'm gonna fucking down the colors and shit like that. And then everything just like literally the fucking week after just went all to hell. So well,
Yeah.
first off, tell us a bit about 10th Planet Pasadena. You and Eric Remy and other tenured Eddie black belt. You guys have essentially become a superpower in the hills of Pasadena, and
Mhm.
you guys are rocking shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm really grateful for the community we have there and the quality of the students. That to me is always number one. The jujitsu, of course, it's top notch. It's two passionate guys who know what they're talking about and are good at communicating it. That's it. What you do with that, you take it as far as you can. But I believe in my business partner, and I respect him as an instructor. He's good at communicating things, and knows what he's talking about. I'm sold. Take my money, So if somebody can do that, then the business is kind of it's hard to, as long as you're just doing like not encouraging bad attitudes. There's a certain mat etiquette. There's a reason that there's certain traditions and things in place in martial arts gyms and dojos that helps promote just an overall good attitude there. But yeah, there's no a-holes, no egos. I get that a lot when people come to visit or I have the gym, like, oh, everybody here is so cool. I feel safe. I feel like I can train hard. And it's not like we're not. I mean, we're rolling. Heel hooks are live. Try to avoid doing them on white belts, of course. Um, but the main thing is, like, you can train and do anything. Just have respect for your partner. Are you trying to hurt this person? Because they can hurt you back. And guess what? The instructors know how to hurt you really quickly if that's what we're just trying to do. But that's not the game here. We're trying to help each other. Everybody here is here to help, improve, and get better at jujitsu. And if not, you're not a professional fighter or competitor, then you're just here to get better at life. All right. So let's meet there. All right. And if you want to get those hard rolls, you and your buddy got a competition coming up. All right, I'm gonna make sure you guys get some. I'm gonna jump in with you. We're gonna get some hard rolls. Don't worry, we got that covered too. But you just don't want anyone to feel alienated in that place. And I think that happens. The gym culture can become toxic, and that's one thing I really try to avoid. That for me has been really important. Of all the great influences that I had along the way, I want people to have the opportunity to kind of take their martial arts journey as far as possible without any people getting in the way of that.
No, 100%. And Jesse said that's legit, keeping it 100%, 100%
Yeah,
real. And if you want to be an asshole, you can be 100% asshole. I mean, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll get what you put out. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Now, I got to ask, right? So, in terms of coach, being a coach, what has been like
Yeah.
the most gratifying, whether it be a moment or feeling or like, what has been the most gratifying thing to you thus far in your career as a coach?
I mean, really, the last big competitions were helping my wife out with, quintet and Japan and her last couple of EBI showings, things like that. And that's really special because she started jujitsu. Lila Smaja started jujitsu with me as a white belt. She was teaching spin classes and I was teaching fundamentals at Legends. And then she started taking a few privates, and then we started, it kind of grew from there. And she got really good at jujitsu, and we, our relationship expanded from there. We ended up getting engaged and married, and just seeing her grow and take the sport seriously and get good. And then being able to support her through, there were some losses along the way, that you got to pick yourself up back for, and then just seeing the improvement and the willingness to want to get better. That's inspirational, and it's nice to know that you're kind of your partner in crime and the person you kind of trust your heart with, your disposition is also strong enough to kind of carry that way with you, and enjoys helping people, enjoys teaching. She's great with when she teaches. So competitively, watching my wife do well is great, and then watching my students do well, even if it's just the one white belt winning by a point because all he did was hold the guy the whole time, but he feels so good about it. That's gratifying as a coach. You know what I mean? I'd love to see guys in ADCC at the highest level, of course. We're getting people ready for that when they have the potential. But every little win small improvement, and when somebody loses 30 pounds and they come back 2 months later and tell me, man, I've been changing my diet, drinking as much soda, I'm not eating as much crappy food, I'm not eating carbs so late at night because I wanna do more when I'm here at the gym. I love to hear that stuff. So for me, that kind of carries me through everything, and it kind of reminds me that I'm doing the right thing. You know?
I mean, and that's a good measuring stick, not just in jiu-jitsu, but in life. That there's so many parables and so many parallels. I think it's awesome.
Right.
Now, also, one thing that's awesome, right, is that we kind of alluded to it before, and I was grateful to be there at the last night in Hollywood where there was a Smoke Serpent reunion. I mean, it was fucking dope, right? So, I mean, if for people that want to go the wonderful down the wonderful wormhole that is Smoke Serpent,
Yeah.
what would you say is a good entry point? What song do you feel that, I mean, like you guys were on, like you guys were in the fucking mood, ready to create, and that is like the fucking piece de resistance of
Yeah. I
that
mean,
time.
well, yeah, as far as like a band able to come together, the jiu-jitsu song that we made a video with, that Raka from Dilated Peoples featured on, that's a big deal. Because I always looked up to my Dilated Peoples, one of the biggest underground hip hop groups, lyrical hip hop groups, substantial hip hop groups, and they had a lot of respect for that. And so be able to have somebody who understood jiu-jitsu. Raka at the time was a purple belt in the Gracie system, and that was a cool day at the studio because it really showed me. He sat down and just wrote his verse, and I was sitting down writing my verse, and then he recorded his, I recorded mine, and that was just a really cool day in the studio because I got to work with somebody I respected, a legend, somebody who's been putting in work, and just see how it's not too much different from what you're doing already. You know what I mean? He's just been doing it longer and is better at it. And it's like that thing is there. So that song, Jiu-Jitsu, I think that really sets the mood for people. A lot of, my wife loves to hear that before she goes to train and do a tournament. A lot of people's hype up song is that. And then before that, when it was just Compella and the Twister, we did a song called Dropped, which is really popular. And that ended up, making some rounds. The Jiu-Jitsu song, actually, the Smoke Serpent Jiu-Jitsu song ended up on the UFC soundtrack, the video game, like the second video game. And hear it on there, and also the Dropped ended up on the Michael J. White's movie with Scott Epstein starring as one of the main characters,
Yes.
and on the soundtrack as well. So,
Man, I think I got fucking goosebumps. That shit. I mean, literally. I mean, that's what dreams are made of, right? To quote that like Robin Williams movie from back in the day. Like that's what dreams may come. Like, and you put in the fucking work, and that's it. And BJ Darden, NWA Pacific Northwest champion. He said this fucking podcast is legit. It's because fucking Compella's here. It's not just me. I mean, it's fucking because it's Compella. I'm just saying. Now, dude, before we get out of here, obviously, 9 Inch Nails is one of the, kind of. I mean, it's a major, major influence on your life in a big way. I personally, I mean, I float back and forth between Hurt, and I know it's so cliche that I pick a fucking radio fucking single for like my favorite 9 Inch Nails song. Right. But I mean, it is it. I mean, the way that it fucking starts, and then even like the fucking Johnny Cash version, and like I
was just gonna say, Johnny Cash loved it too, so. Yeah, it's
right.
Great, it's a very well written song. Certain songs were just, they are what they are. Yeah.
And it, I mean, especially like that fucking, especially if you can catch like a live, fucking cut of Hurt, the ambiance that it fucking sets. It's just like what, and it's very minimal. And what impact that you could have in a minimal fucking space, like, and you feel what Trent and the boys are feeling.
Oh, definitely. Last time I seen him, I've only seen him live twice. The first time was at the Staples Center. The second time I got to see him at the Hollywood Bowl with the late Soundgarden. This was Chris Cornell, probably less than 6 months before he killed himself. So I got to see them both live on stage. I want to say Hurt, who's the last song they did before they left. And the acoustics there were great. Hollywood Bowl for them were you can't those acoustics are really great. And it really worked for them as well. There's no bad seats there. So that was cool. And I was there with Eddie actually. we're checking it out and talking music and watching like two of our favorite bands. So yeah. Good times.
So what is if there was like one song, right? And obviously as a creative artist, you don't want to do like one song over and over. But I mean, fuck, if you're feeling down or you're feeling a particular way, to kind of fucking either get in your mood or kind of flip your mood if you're not feeling that great. What is that Nine Inch Nails song for you? Which one would it be?
Oh man, Nine Inch Nails song. They're usually not like perk you up happy song. They're usually like I want to kind of go into a deep mode of thought song. So I don't know how many of them are happier though, but God, there's so many. Usually I just throw a mix on and I'll just skip around till one of them hits my mood. But probably if I want to go something lighter, I'm gonna go with something off the Left and Right album, or just after that, not the Ghost EP, but the one with Survivalism on it, because that has kind of more BPMs and stuff. So yeah, I would go probably something on that album that has a little more BPM on it, so I can get up to speed. But yeah, I don't know. So many. I'm one of those people where my taste was I can literally listen to Creedence Clearwater and then Marilyn Manson back to back, and then fucking Zero from the yeahs, and but it kind of depends on my mood and what I want to hear. Lumineers I've been listening to a lot lately, and the Strokes have been big on my playlist, and some hip hop here and there. I'll throw back in with some Razzcad, some Pharoah Monch, when I want to kind of get some political thoughts unraveled. Yeah, but that's kind of where my musical tastes jump all over the place, like almost daily.
I fucking love it. I mean, it's funny that you went from Creedence Clearwater Revival to fucking Marilyn Manson. I mean, either way, it's a Bad Moon Rising, right?
Right, exactly. That would be a great cover. I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet. There's probably one out there. Yeah.
I was just saying, yeah. I mean, it would be good. I mean, they've already done. Yeah, right. Why the fuck not, man? I mean, if it's not them, and then I think fucking John 5 will do something with it. I fucking don't know. I feel like that.
Right.
Bro, I mean, fuck. It's been some fucking fun times, and Paul Perez announcer says talking about Music Woods. Whatever happened to your dad's bass? Oh, it's literally in the corner, like off camera. It's kind of funny.
On the stand? Is it ready to go?
Here we go.
There you go. Okay, you can pick it up and go. Okay.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. My dad was a contemporary jazz musician. I guess they call it busker, but we called it street performer, right? So he was a street performer in San Francisco on Fisherman's Wharf. So like that's how I fucking grew up. When most people are like, yeah. And when most people are like, oh, I'm from the streets and shit, like I'm like, yeah, I'm from the streets, and I can probably make a lanyard, and I can probably know how to get tips out of tourists. So that's different. I'm just saying.
Yeah, totally. My brother, he grew up. What was it called? It was this port in New York City where he would do magic tricks. He worked at this magic shop, and he would sometimes do magic down on the Seaside Street Port, I think it was called, Southside Street Port, something like that. Somebody correct me if you're from the East Coast, but it was a pretty popular place. Yeah, same kind of thing. Like street performing was big for him.
That's true.
I remember walking through trains in New York and stuff. Yeah.
I think that's dope, man. You even got like a street performer's like lineage in somebody close to you. That's fucking dope, man. Like shit.
Oh yeah.
God, I mean, shit. Obviously, people have lost jobs and health and loved ones because of like this fucking crazy year. But I mean, selfishly, I'm not training at fucking 10th Planet Pasadena right now. Like fuck, this is, dude, Blake Troop gave me this and said, hey, fucking trade this back in. I told you that night at
Right.
fucking Submission on the Shore, I want one of these. I'm a fucking pro wrestling fan. I don't want a fucking medal. No. I mean, those are cool and all. They're shiny. They're fucking bling. But I wanted to be fucking Bret the Hitman Hart when I was little. So Naga has a belt. So I can fucking be. So I want my fucking purple belt for no other reason for me to win one of these and fucking do the fucking Bret Harts. Like, just saying.
Yeah.
That's it.
Purple belt's probably a good chance of getting one of those belts, depending where you're competing at. Oh, it's just expert bracket. Sign up for expert bracket and win. Get yourself a belt.
Shit. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And Jesse says, yeah, belts are always better than medals. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Bro, I mean, shit, dude. Like, thank you for fucking doing this. This is dope. But, I mean, obviously,
thanks.
For those who want to know more about 10 Planet Pasadena and what you're doing, music and otherwise, what is the best resources for people to go and follow on social media?
Yeah, 10planetpasadena.com. Our website is there. There's a link to our YouTube. You can also look up 10 Planet Pasadena on YouTube. We have a bunch of videos that we posted from the past, just kind of showing how we teach, little snippets there. And then, our website has all our pricing and schedule, all that good stuff. Actually, Palmdale is open as well, open last September. So one of our associates, Jimmy, was a 10 Planet Black Belt as well, opened 10 Planet Palmdale, and he's working in association with Raimi and myself. So we're also teaching up there temporarily. So we're kind of spreading the word and letting people know 10 Planet is we're still alive. We're still out there. People are still training. Taking our precautions, taking temperatures, and people are doing the best that they can to survive these times, stay normal, and try not to overexpose yourself to any given, stay within your community and stuff. It's tough to stay within the guidelines, and we're not out of it yet. We're still in the thick of it, but I'm really grateful for the community we have and the community people are maintaining, and just being respectful of each other, keeping clean, keeping that hygiene, keeping that sanitation at a high level, and keep it.
Yeah, keep it clean, keep it classy, folks. That's if nothing else, that is what we can learn from this very podcast, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing else. Wipe your. But I think even after, like I was telling my wife the other day, even after all this stuff blows over and they have a vaccine and maybe people aren't taking it seriously anymore, I'm still probably going to wear a mask at the airport and getting onto planes, just like from now on. You know what I mean? Just one of those things that I think will stick and linger on. It's like, might as well not risk it. In those kind of environments. That's what I think is going to happen.
No, 100%. So that means, with all of your, martial arts knowledge, walking through an airport, you're going to be a masker of disaster.
Right.
Dad jokes all day. I'm just saying. Dude, it's been an honor and privilege, and I can't wait until we can get back to some sort of normalcy, man. But again, go check out 10 Planet Pasadena if you are in the area, because definitely, if nothing else, your leg locks will be stronger and your jiu-jitsu etiquette will be even more astute.
Exactly. No gi all day, every day. That is what we do there. Yeah.
Dang right. Again, thank you guys for joining us here at According to Woods. Compella, thank you for sharing space, sharing time, and this has been good.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
The pleasure's all mine. And if you guys haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe According to Woods on YouTube and Facebook. Compella, you're subscribed, right?
Yeah. I am. I should be if I'm not already. I will be.
See, and be like-minded people,
it's
right?
Easy. But hit the button.
Hit the damn button.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
Right. And if you don't believe us two, right? I mean, literally a 10 Planet Jiu Jitsu black belt and a co owner of one of the top affiliates in the system, and just a guy that does podcasts. Well, guess what? Here's professional wrestler Zeta Zhang to kind of convince you.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe.